Good morning and welcome to Worldwide Wisdom. We're learning the founding discourse of the Rebbe's leadership. This is the discourse that the Rebbe taught when the previous Rebbe actually taught this discourse for the anniversary of his passing in 1950. It was actually the day that he ended up passing away that this was published for. But what's interesting is that this discourse lays the foundation of Judaism in America. It's amazing. It's an amazing discourse. It lays the foundation of Judaism in America. You know, Chabad started out in Russia, White Russia, right? Belarus. Well, it started with Hasidus of the Baal Shem Tov. He was born in 1698. Where exactly he was born, I don't remember. Was he born in Vitebsk? I don't think he was born in Vitebsk. But the Alter Rebbe was the founder of Chabad Hasidus in 1745 when he was born, and Chabad was like in a Russian thing. When it came to America in 1940, which is when the previous Rebbe moved here, there was tremendous challenges. I mean, think about your families. What were your families doing? I'm not an American boy, but think of your families where they were in 1940 and the kind of spiritual struggles that Americans were struggling with in the 1940s. You know, to be able to be a frum Jew, to have a beard, to have a yarmulke was such a difficult challenge. It was such an uphill war. And there were those that held strong. And the previous Rebbe, in one of his big mottos was, America is nicht anders. America is not different. America is nicht anders, because people would want to say, Lubavitcher Rebbe, welcome to America, but this is not the shtetl. This is not the shtetl. Here we do things differently. And the previous Rebbe says, no. America is no different. America is nicht anders. Here, it's the same God who created heaven and earth. Right? The same God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yes, it's a different country, different customs, different language, different this, that, and the other. But the principles are exactly the same. Remember, we learned in Yom Yom the other day that there are two kinds of laws. There are laws that are established by life, and there are laws that establish life. The laws that are established by life are like human laws. You know, they're made up, each country according to its own place. You know, the weather here is like this, the temperament here is like that. But laws of Torah are laws that establish life. They're not the result of how we live our lives. They are the cause of how we live our lives. So when the previous Rebbe gave this discourse, he was nurturing a generation of proud Jews. You know, to the point that there was such controversy in the past few days about Bret Stephens and who was the other guy? Bob Kraft, right? Yeah. So, such interesting controversy, two different approaches to anti-Semitism, where, you know, Bret Stephens gave this speech at the New York 92nd Street Y. He was saying, like, you know, it's time to move away from anti-Semitism. You know, stop playing defense, guys. You know, that's enough. We're not going to win them over. Brilliant, right? We're not going to win them over. It's time for us to be strong Jews. Is that what he said, right? Yeah. Right? Time for us to be strong Jews. We're not playing defense. Meanwhile, Bob Kraft makes this ad, spends $15 million on, I don't know how much, 15 seconds or 60 seconds of an ad during the Super Bowl. And what does he promote in this ad? He shows the weak, scrawny Jew
who was not very good,
who gets labeled by bullies as a dirty Jew, and some big non-Jewish kid comes over and you know, protects him. And the message is like, stand with us. Stand with us. Don't let us be alone. You know, woe is me. and it's so nice to see the American Jewish response. The you know, obviously Bob Kraft meant well. It's to criticize him.
He's a very
generous man, from what I know. But I mean, I don't know much about him, but yeah. But I'm just saying that it's nice that the American Jewish community is responding. We're like, hey, that's not who we are. We're not weak and scrawny. We're not knock-knee Jews, you know, wobbly-knee Jews that need some tall Gentile to come and save us. I mean, it's nice. Let's not downplay how pleasant it is when non-Jews come and stand with us. Yes, we very much appreciate that. But I'm not strong just because you're standing with me, right? We're strong on our own. And that's what I believe. Another message. Yeah. What's the other message?
You're next.
Who's next? I understand. Oh yeah, he did. Didn't he say that in the ad?
No, he didn't. That's why he's a black person.
The black kid said I didn't.
Yeah, I thought he said that in that. Yeah. So look, either way, it's all about victimhood and victimization. You know, we're not into that anymore. We're not the Jews of of defense. They're not the Jews of retreat. We're the Jews of beeper bombs. We're the Jews of don't mess with me because we're strong, right? So it's interesting, today or tomorrow, Bibi Netanyahu is meeting with Donald Trump, right? Which is also questionable. Do we need the permission of the United States in order to protect ourselves, or do we stand on our own? No, we're a superpower all by ourselves, right? I mean, it's an interesting question that you can ask. Obviously, easy for us to pontificate, from Monday morning quarterbacks about how strong Israel needs to be and what Israel needs to do, but and obviously the strategic alliance with America.
Israel is the superpower in the Middle East.
Right.
It's recognized.
Right. So my point is that what I believe this discourse is doing, the one that we're learning now, is that it lays the foundation for a strong Jewish future, as opposed to woe is me. We hope that America will work out for us. We've been kicked out of 2,000 years worth of civilizations, and hopefully we'll be tolerated over here. This discourse lays the foundation for strong Jewish leadership, purposeful Jewish living. We're not just here in order to be tolerated. We're here because we're on a purpose. We're on a mission. What is that mission? That's what's laid out in this discourse. And that's what's so beautiful, so foundational. I actually put the link to the discourse right here in the comments. And we are working our way through this. Now, it's not a short discourse. It's going to take us time. I'm going to try to cover some ground today. Today's Torah study is sponsored in honor of the grandmother of Mike Horowitz, Miriam Bas Harav Leib, on the occasion of her yahrzeit, in the merits of all the Torah study that we learn all over the world. So Rocco says, definitely time for a new approach after all the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and expecting different results. Yeah. I was like a little bit offended when I saw that ad. I mean, on the one hand, I'm like, that's very nice. The guy spent $15 million on antisemitism. And you see these ads in the cities, the pink ads. I don't know which company it is, where they try to victimize Jews. I mean, they're trying to stand with us. Have you seen these pink ads? They're like, do you know what it feels like to have no friends? That's what it feels like to be Jewish. Like, I don't really understand it. I mean, one of our supporters is a very big supporter of this particular pink billboard campaign. And I challenge him about it. I'm like, I don't really understand. Like, what is it? A city pity Jews? Like what are we actually trying to do? Jews, stop playing defense, folks. I think that's what this is about. We've got to stop playing defense. Nobody ever won the Super Bowl by playing defense. Is that an accurate?
No,
bad example. Okay, Rabbi, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane.
Bad analogy.
So defense always wins.
Stronger defense.
Is that what happened this week in the Super Bowl?
100%, yeah. And it happened many times.
Who played? The Giants? Who played?
No, the Giants. When the Giants played,
I should quit while I'm behind.
The Giants beat the undefeated Patriots years ago with defense.
Defense. How do you win by playing defense? I don't even understand.
Because you stop the other team. From scoring.
But how do you score a goal if you're playing
You have
defense?
to have some offense. too.
You need some offense.
You need some offense.
Okay, fine. So scratch that,
You're
folks.
mostly right. You're right.
It's off your wheelhouse.
By the way, it was Liasna.
Liozna. That was the Alter Rebbe Liozna.
That's what I'm talking about. That's my great
Next
grandparents.
Oh, that's your grandparents.
Next year, we're all going to get together on a Sunday afternoon.
Oh,
And we're going to
I
teach you American. We'll bring you to American.
want to tell you, my attention span doesn't manage a game of football. I can watch a game of soccer. The game of soccer, they kick the ball, and they don't stop until the ball is in the net. In football, I don't understand. Every 4 seconds, 15 seconds max, there's a timeout. There's a commercial break for 15 minutes. I don't remember what day it is anymore.
Let me ask you something, Rabbi. If you had 11 guys who were 6'6" and weigh 280 pounds jump on you, what do you need about 10 seconds to go, like, kind of get your breath? 300 plus pounds.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, back to my analogy. Forgive me. So poor analogy. Okay. You can't win them all, man. You know what I mean? So what I'm trying to say, and maybe without the football analogy, is that I think it's important for us as Jews. Well, let me ask you a question. Running a business, many of you are businessmen. Can you be successful in business if you're only playing defense? Not. So you have to have innovation, right? So it would be accurate then to say that progress or life is not a plateau; it's an incline. And that if you're not growing, you're receding. Is that correct? Would you agree?
Yep.
I think that's what we're doing. We're fighting an uphill battle. We're fighting an uphill battle as Jews, trying to bring Mashiach. That's our mission in this world. Our mission is to bring Mashiach, which is to reveal Hashem as King of this world. To do that, we're not on a level playing field. It's not a plateau. We actually are in a world where if you don't fight, you lose. Right? So you got to be proactive. Now, what does that mean to be proactive? It's amazing that you can be 65, 75 years old and never have gotten the memo as to what exactly we're supposed to be doing in this world. So thank God for Hasidus. Thank God for the Rebbe who gave us this guidance, right? To give us a direction. Let's go straight into it. We are in the text. If you have the text in front of you, I think we're up to we're up to the paragraph that starts. The paragraph starts here. Here, in the Spirit is written, just to recap on what we finished off last time, in the Spirit is written, it's about halfway down the page. In the Spirit it is written, when the Sitra Achra, the other side, the cosmic force opposing holiness is subdued, the glory of God rises thereby and is diffused throughout all the worlds. This is a quote directly from the Zohar, which tells us that, I got to tell you, I've been meditating on this verse for all week. I have to tell you, I've been meditating on this verse all week, and I don't know if I'm going to get past this verse because it's deep rooted in my heart, and I think I might need to share this with you because it's actually so painful as I helped certain people through their struggles this week. I need to share with you. I might not be able to cover progress. This is what happens with me with Hasidus, is that I get stuck into something and I start to explain it. I want to explain to you something. It's heavy. It's very heavy. It's painful. You encounter people. Somebody came up to me and said, Rabbi, he told me about his childhood. And it was a very painful childhood experience. For whatever reason, it wasn't particularly dysfunctional. It was painful. And he explained to me that it was affecting his marriage. So his childhood, the way he was treated, without getting into the details, is affecting his marriage and his inability to have a healthy relationship with his marriage, with his wife. So he asked me, why would God do this to me?
Why was I what?
Why would God do this to me? Why me? Right? A very painful question. Why did I have to endure that? Because his whole default setting right now is one where he doesn't even know how to have a healthy, intimate relationship. And when I say intimate, I mean emotional, not just conjugal, but, just on all different levels. He doesn't know how to relate. Imagine if you were screamed at your entire youth. Right? And now you're supposed to have a healthy, functional relationship with someone. And you don't know how to communicate without screaming, for example. Right? What do you do? So I introduced him to the benoni of the Tanya. What's the benoni of the Tanya? The benoni of the Tanya is the one who has to struggle with an internal struggle. Remember, we learned that tzaddik is the one who doesn't have a struggle anymore. He's all good. The benoni is the one who battles within. Both of them on the outside of good behavior. But on the inside, the tzaddik has no battle, and the benoni does have a battle. And I explained to him, what do you think that's talking about? What do you think it's talking about? What's the battle of the benoni? Is the battle of the benoni whether you should get out of bed in the morning and go to shul or stay in bed? Is that the battle?
No.
I think it is. But
Part of the battle.
it's part of the battle. Is the battle whether you should go to a kosher restaurant or a treif restaurant?
Yeah.
That is part of the battle. The battle is probably about whether you should say some juicy slander about someone else, which is going to make him popular amongst the person listening to him, or not. Yeah, these are battles of the benoni. But I think these are shallow battles of the benoni. You know what the real battles of the benoni are? The real battles of the benoni is when his mind tells him that in order to be a mensch, he has to speak to his wife in a certain way. But his heart tells him that's not how we communicate around here. This is not how I was raised. I was raised screaming, and therefore I'm going to be screaming. So there's a conflict within his head and his heart, and they're telling him two different things, and there's a tug of war, and he doesn't know how to communicate, and he typically will end up giving his heart superiority of the brain, and his marriage is going to be falling apart, and he's going to come to his rabbi crying, right? Well, I mean, that's a good thing. He's coming to his rabbi crying. That's already a good start. right? But I'm saying, can you see the internal conflict? You see the internal conflict? Now, the Alter Rebbe asks the question. He says, look, guys, the benoni can never cure himself. The benoni can never cure himself. And I've given you this analogy before. I've given you the analogy before. Yes, it is always a struggle. The analogy I give you is that it's like American Express Black. And I tell you, I'm still waiting for my invitation, right? You can only be invited to this group, right? Might have missed it in the mail, but they invite you to the club. You can't apply to this club in the same way. The Tanya says, if you're going to achieve self-mastery, Hashem has to invite you to that world. You don't get there by yourself, because what was the word you said? The word you said was? It's a perpetual struggle. Is that what you said? It's a constant struggle. You're always battling. Can you imagine how depressing that is, folks? Can you imagine how depressing it is that for the rest of my life, every time I talk to my wife or my kids, we tend to become the parents that we despised. Not?
I would never. I'm not that way. And I learned from it.
It's because you're a tzaddik.
I'm not a tzaddik, but I.
What?
You mock the things you are.
Wow, profound. You mock. I want to just process that.
Mel Brooks.
You mock the things you are to be. You mock the things you are to be. Very interesting. Now, I want to agree with both of you. That if you don't work on yourself, you are going to become that. What you mock the things you are to be. But if you do work on yourself, right, then I think you will be able to grow. Now, let me just put this into perspective. Lest you accuse me of being a little bit too new agey with the Tanya. I want to just say this here, that we had someone here a few months ago, and he helped me understand that the word ra in Tanya, the word evil in Tanya, the word evil, ra, in Hebrew. What's the etymology of the word evil in Hebrew? Did I share this with you? I don't think so. The word evil in Hebrew comes from the word teruah, as opposed to tekiah, which is one flow. The word teruah or ra, evil, means fragmentation, means disconnected, means disembodied, as opposed to tekiah, which is a free flow. When you're connected to your core, to your authenticity, you're happy. You're in a state of flow. You're in a state of peace. But when you are fragmented, when you are disjointed, when you're disembodied, now you're not in touch with your core. You're not in touch with your essence. You're not in touch with your neshama. You're manifesting dysfunctional behavior patterns and cycles and vicious cycles because you're out of touch with who you are. Imagine you were in touch with your core soul. Imagine you looked at a fellow Jew, and what did you see? You saw a piece of God. Right? Imagine you looked at yourself. I said to somebody this Friday, I give him a good Shabbos wish, and I bless them. May this Shabbos, may you merit to forgive yourself. Imagine if you could look at yourself and say, I'm not a bad person. I'm not a weak parent or a poor husband. I'm a piece of God. Imagine if every encounter in 1 hour could be manifesting that conviction, that awareness that I'm a piece of God. There's a certain dignity, there's a certain aristocracy, not arrogance, but a pride, right? That's associated with that state of mind, right? There's a way you'd speak differently if you were aware that you're a piece of God. You'd actually talk differently, right? You wouldn't say certain words or lash out in certain ways if you were in a state of flow. Kia. But when you're fragmented, when you're disconnected from your core, that's when you behave like a wilde chaya. You say silly things that you regret, right? So back to the benoni. The benoni now is grappling with evil. Evil doesn't just mean that he's grappling with sin. It means that he's grappling with fragmentation. He's grappling with this disjointedness, with being disconnected from his authentic self. And now it comes Alter Rebbe and he says, newsflash, why would Hashem do this? And this is what I'm telling this fellow Jew. Why would Hashem do this? If you've got no way out of this prison, you're going to be treading water for the rest of your days. Till the day you die. You know, somebody said to me the other day, at 84 years old, why would my husband be grappling with this? I would think that by now he should be over with this. I said to her, oh no. Not till the day he dies. When he dies, yes. But until then, I've seen 95-year-olds that haven't got over the way their mother spoke to them. So why would Hashem do this? The Alter Rebbe answers. He says, because the answer is right here, because when you suppress, when you win that in a battle, the little battles, Hashem gets tremendous nachas. I mean, that's a big, tough pill to swallow, you know?
The question is, how do you get to that stage?
To which stage?
The suppression stage. How does one overcome? You talked about this in Shabbos, about honoring your father and mother.
Right.
And so that's always
right.
So how do you get to that stage?
So I think it's not about winning the war. It's about winning the battle.
You mean one day at a time?
Yeah, one foot in front of the other. It's exactly right.
A moment at a time.
It's one moment at a time. So in other words, don't worry about, we say you can win the war and lose the battle, win the war, right? It's about not worrying about the war. And it's about the individual battles, because you got to think of yourself as hand-to-hand combat. You're in hand-to-hand combat with yourself, with your dysfunctional self. And when you win, each little tiny win, what is a win? A win is when your wife triggers you. Your wife says something to you that triggers you because it reminds you.
And you don't react.
That's a win. Right there's a win. Your wife says to you something, and let's say your wife criticizes you, right? And what happens? You want to lash out in fury, in rage. Why? It's not really her fault.
It's your mother.
Because your mother said that to you, right? Because your mother screamed at you and you were defenseless, and now you're kind of taking it out on your wife. And that's not even fair. It's not even nice. But when you're able to rise above fragmentation into a state of awareness, right? IFS, internal family systems, you can remind yourself that there's a part inside of you, right? This is very Tanya. There's two parts of you. There's multiple parts of you. And you can remind yourself mind over matter, head over heart. And you say, no, this is not her fault. I'm being triggered. I need to process this, take a few deep breaths, do some breath work, some breathing exercises. That little battle, you didn't respond to your wife with anger, but actually you responded with humility, with kindness. That's a battle. And about that, the Alter Rebbe says, you just won that battle. When the other side, the cosmic forces opposing holiness, I want you to interpret them as dysfunction, fragmentation, not just eating bacon. I mean, like, perpetuating dysfunctional behavior. When the other side is subdued, the glory of God rises thereby and is diffused throughout all the worlds. What you've done is that you've released Hashem's infinite light over all the worlds. And now the Alter Rebbe has given purpose to the perpetual struggle of the benoni. If you were raised in a dysfunctional home, okay, it's sad, it's painful. It's actually very painful. And I want to just empathize very, very much with the people that have to struggle with these things. And I think most people have to struggle with these things to varying degrees. But instead of giving up, it's so easy to say, it's too hard and I want to just give up. The Alter Rebbe says, quoting this Zohar, it's the Zohar that says this, but the Alter Rebbe explains it. He's like, find purpose in each battle. And I think that gives strength to each. There was a guy here yesterday in the Ask the Rabbi session. He said that, he's talking about his what the shul has done for him, studying Torah. He says he used to be a very angry person. And by studying Torah here at the shul, he started mellowing out. Like the Torah started giving him. So he says his wife didn't notice because he lived with her. But he said he went off to some other state to visit his kids. I hadn't seen him in like a year or two. And when he was there, he was saying this yesterday at the Ask the Rabbi. He said when he got there, after 2-3 days, his daughter was like, "Dad, what happened to you? No screaming? Like, what's going on? You haven't screamed once in 2 days. Are you okay?" So he realized, like, wow, I'm really changing. And that's such a beautiful thing. That's what spirituality is supposed to do for you. It's not just about how we dress or where we affiliate or where we stand in the Kiddush buffet line. It's about inner work, folks. This is what it's about. And it's so beautiful that this one line, this one statement really sets the stage for a lifetime of purpose created out of darkness. Let's just keep on going a little bit further, get some
What's
context.
the difference between the stimulus and the response? You said how you respond. when you
Yeah.
have a stimulus.
Trigger, what the trigger
You're right,
does
right,
to you.
right. The trigger. If you can delay the response, it gives you time to have it.
Yeah,
to
delay
have
the-
power over
That's a
it.
good idea. Delay the response. Very
Delay the
functional
response.
tool.
Doesn't
versus-
Hasidus also teach something else? And that is, once you get to a certain point, the ability to understand the parent who's got that mishigas, or whoever it is, your boss who's got that mishigas, that for some reason they were an orphan. This is a true
From their-
story.
from their
They were an
own.
orphan, and they had a bad, horrible upbringing.
Mhm.
So if you understand that person, you get to the point where you understand it. You can understand their mishigas, which you are, much of which is now being directed at you.
Yeah,
That's why my mother screams.
100%. 100%.
But it's hard to
I think it's
understand as a
amazing.
child.
Because that's
As an
because that's
adult,
what
you can
Hasidus-
rationalize.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
teaches.
I think it's so beautiful what you just said. I love that.
Yeah,
And I want to give you a quick story to illustrate this. When I was dating, actually I was engaged already to my wife.
You were engaged at
Wait,
dating?
wait, wait, wait.
You were engaged at dating?
Absolutely.
Oh, I was too, but it wasn't.
Whoa. 1 second. Are you insinuating that you stopped dating your wife after you got engaged?
Oh,
Oh, no, not Judy. Oh, not Judy.
Hello?
I
He
still
said,
date
when I
Judy.
was engaged and then I was dating.
Hello. Let me just quick tangent here. I want to say to you, before we got engaged, we were dating out of suspicion. We were dating out of not trusting each other. We were checking each other out. But after we got engaged, we were dating out of commitment. And after we got married, we are dating out of yeah, of course I've got to woo my wife.
Connection.
Absolutely, for sure. You cannot take anything for granted. Absolutely, you have to date your wife for sure. And I always tell people you have to date once a week. At least once a week, a standing date. What do you have to do on a date? Not a movie. Yes, it should be on your calendar. It should be sacrosanct. It should be a night or a day. It's something, a couple of hours where you just hang out together. It's very, very important. Otherwise, you're like two ships to that sea. Anyways, back to my point before you distracted me here. What I was trying to say, when I was dating, when I was not yet married, we were checking out apartments. Probably. We were looking for apartments in Brooklyn. And I remember we sat down on the floor. There was a place to check out a house, the apartment had no furniture. We sat on the floor, just like envisioning the future. And I said to my wife, that house is near 770. It's very close to 770, Chabad World Headquarters, that apartment. I said to my wife, this is great. Yeah. I said to my wife that if we here, I'll be able to daven late on Shabbos afternoon. I'll daven, daven slowly and late. I'll come home late. It'd be great. She was like, nah.
I understand that.
But then I realized that we had a misunderstanding. So she thought I wanted to daven late because I wanted to come home late. And I said, you know why I would want to daven long? It's not because I can't read the words. I said, because by davening slowly, I'll become a better husband. I'll be a better father.
That's good.
So she said to me, stay late. Stay late. Come back whenever you want. Yeah. But I'm serious about it. That's a true story. That's what the purpose of our spiritual Torah study is to become a better person, right? And a better person is just like Harvey said. It's my understanding. It's instead of feeling like a victim, all the people around you. I mean, imagine what you said about anti-Semites. It's not just your mother, your father, your uncle, your teacher. What about anti-Semites? Maybe you can understand where the anti-Semites come from, right? And that gives you. And you realize that it's all part of my mission in this world. When you realize that I'm on a mission and that God put me in this circumstance, this situation with these people in order to bring out these particular triggers in me, okay, it gives me some purpose. Let's go a little further in the text of here. Just a little.
That's behind so many divorces.
Oh, yes, that's such a good point.
Especially young people. They
So many divorces because they think that they deserve a certain standard, which is impossible.
Right.
No?
Well, that's not
Either that and or
Oh,
they
right,
don't-
'cause you had
they
other-
don't really understand the other person or why they're acting the way they are.
So, right. So I want to tie these two together, your point and his point. That I want to say that the cards you're being dealt is on purpose. The wife, the husband you have is your mission. Now, this is a very challenging concept. Like, I'll give you an example, something which I don't know the answer to. I just don't know the answer to. is I have no clue how to deal with narcissism. The NPD, the narcissistic personality disorder. It scares me to think that people I love could land up with a narcissist.
That's horrible.
I just don't know how to deal with that. So I'm saying this is a challenge that I'm struggling with. Maybe Tanya somewhere is going to give me an answer. Tanya has all the answers to all the questions, right? That's what it says in the introduction of Tanya. All the answers to all the questions. So I know the answers in there somewhere in the Tanya about NPD, narcissistic personality disorder. But I think of one of my kids. Our narcissists are oozing with charisma when they're winning you over. You only figure out that you're dealing with a narcissist when you're already too late. When you're already hooked in, right? Classic. This is how they operate. But how are you supposed to deal with that? Actually, I'm reading a book right now. Maybe that's the answer. I'm reading a book called Be the Narcissist Nightmare. It's about retro-engineering the narcissist to your favor. Anyways, I'm just saying, maybe I'm working on it. I don't know.
You might want to visit one in West Palm Beach.
The answers may be the problem is that most of the time we can't define the question.
Most of the time we can't define the question. With
We
regards to
don't
who?
know the right question.
With regards to who?
Whatever it is, Tanya, we're looking for an answer. We're trying to figure something out.
Of course,
Most
if you
of
don't know the
time we can't
question, no way
define
you're going to
the
get to the answer. That's what we're doing. We're studying Torah. We're trying to clarify the question. Folks, where we're going to go from here, and I don't think I have time right now, but is basically the next piece. I'm sorry. It's interesting. I feel like I identified there was a story of a chassid. When he would write the name of the highest world, it's called Atzilus. It's coming up soon. When he would write the name of the highest world, it's called Atzilus, 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 right? He couldn't write more than the first three letters, Aleph Tzadik Yud, and then he would get stuck because he'd be there, right? That's kind of what I'm feeling over here. Every time I read this quote from the Zohar, I get stuck in it somehow. I'm hoping that next time we can start from just after this quote, so we can keep on, so we can actually make some progress. Because I've really gotten into it. I got to tell you, I've really been struggling with it when I counsel people. I work my way through those conversations, and I encourage you to find strength in this as well. Where we go from here is what this ultimate light, this infinite light means. What does it mean, a light that spreads throughout all the world? What are all the worlds? What is this infinite light? Which is what gives us purpose to our daily battles. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day.